So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining the ShareNet Activation Grants Workshop. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is Amie Ndong, and I am a knowledge management expert at ShareNet International and leading the activation grants of ShareNet. I'm co-facilitating today's workshop with my colleagues, Kimberley Meijers. She is a country coordinator and knowledge management expert at ShareNet. See? So welcome everyone. And before we dive into the workshop, let me share some information and ground rules. I'm happy to inform you that ShareNet is now using an online interpretation tool called Wordly, and this is to allow members from all over the world to participate in our meetings using their preferred language to follow the speaker. We have shared with you the instruction on how to use Wordly, and now we are sending the request to start it in Zoom. Now it should show up on your screens. And for those who need translation, please open it and choose your preferred language for translation. And yes, get started. I think it should work now. And another piece of information, it's a workshop, so please have a pen and a paper for your individual writing exercise. Also, we will show slides for reference. For those, we recommend you to take notes only. And we have also ground rules as well. Please raise your hand for questions or type them in the chat at any time. And we ask you to respect diversity of opinions because it's really important. And if you have any other ground rules, please write them in the chat. Today's workshop objective is to answer questions about the recorded video on information about our participatory grant making process and provide writing tips for the participants. And this is our outline we will follow. This is quite simple. First, we will answer question on recorded video, then go to the writing tips before concluding our session. From here, I handed it to my colleague, Kimberley. And Kimberley, the floor is yours.
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm so happy to be here together with Amie, facilitating this workshop. In preparation, Amie already created a video with more information about the grant-making process. And this is the time for you that if you have any leftover questions for Amie, that you can ask those either in the chat or by raising your hand, and you can ask your question in plenary. So if you have any more practical questions on how to submit the form, where to find it, more the practical type of questions, so not about the content, but the practical questions, please let us know. Okay, the first questions are coming in. Kwasi is asking, I was wondering if this recorded session will be shared with us. Amie, is that the plan, that we will also share this recording with the participants?
Yes, it's planned to be shared with the participant. And before we thought maybe there were people that won't attend this workshop and would like really to know how to better write a proposal. So yes, we'll share it afterward.
Okay, great. And I see a question from Laurel about the translation to French. So Laurel, Nora shared a Wordly link in the chat. Maybe Nora, you can do that one more time. And that is an app you can install to select the language. There it is in the chat. It's not perfect, but at least it will help you to understand most of the content that we are talking about. And then we have another question for you, Amie. If you can quickly share the main differences between the 3 types of activation grants we have this year.
Okay, so as I said in the recorded video, ShareNet International Activation Grant, we have 3 types of grants. The first one is the collaboration grants. This is a grant that really contributes to improving policy and practice in SRHR. For this grant, this is more than 2 organizations with a max of 4 that can together partner and apply for a grant, with one of them leading the application. And the second type of grant we have is a knowledge translation grant. It have the same purpose as a collaboration one, but for this knowledge translation grant, it's only one organization that apply for this grant. It's not a collaborative one, but still, its main purpose is to improve policy and practice in SRHR. And the third type of grant is the knowledge generation grant. This one is purpose is to fill out a knowledge gap in SRHR or to document some practices. So these are the 3 types of grants we have at ShareNet International.
Okay.
I hope it was clear. Was it okay?
I see one more question regarding this.
Yes.
Shirish is asking, is it more than 2 or can it be 2 as well? I think that's regarding the collaboration grant.
Okay, thank you. That's a good one. It can be 2, so at least 2, I would say. And here is a max of 4 organizations collaborating for this type 1 of grant.
Yeah. Sorry, can I, this is Shirish. Can I just ask a quick follow-up question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what I just wanted to check if my understanding is correct. So across these 3 grants, it is okay to have research component in any of these 3 grants, so long as, so main purpose is basically having collaboration between 1 or 2 or more organization and not having, rather than more of, let's say, a type of activities that can be performed. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say it's partly correct, because for the 2 first grant, you are developing a knowledge product related to improving policy and practice. I would say that's the difference with the third one. For this third one, you are generating knowledge in the SRHR field. But for 3 of them, you can use a research component for your project.
You can't use.
You can use, yes.
You can. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You can use, as long as the focus is really on the creation of these knowledge products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one grant specifically for knowledge generation, but the other 2 focus more on knowledge translation and the creation of these knowledge products. So there can be a small research component in there to facilitate you creating this knowledge product, but it's not the goal of the overall proposal.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
Kwasi, I see you also raised your hand, and you have also a question about membership. Would you like to ask it in the plenary, or shall I read it out loud?
I would like to ask, actually, I was having trouble with the membership registration. So I was just wondering, is there any other way through which I can apply? Because we want to really work for the SRHS scenario in our country. But like, as you know, the membership registration is by somehow troubleshooting. So I was wondering if there was any other way through which I can apply.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think one of the criteria to be eligible for the application for ShareNet grants is to be a member of ShareNet. So for now, you need to register as a member to be eligible to apply for a grant. I think it's something we mentioned in our guidelines, that once the grants are open, that would be really difficult to accept all this membership registration because they come a lot. But what you can do, as I mentioned in the recorded video, please send an email to the info@sharenet.org and mention it, and then we can try to prioritize your registration as a member compared to others maybe who are not applying for a grant. Is that okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a really big help.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. I saw another interesting question, Amie, and that is
Yes.
about the criteria that are going to be used to weigh the proposal. Can you maybe say something about that?
Okay, so that's a good question. And I shared this criteria that the peer review will use to score the application. So it's important you as an applicant to be aware about this criteria and to write your proposal accordingly, that you make sure that you are really responding to this criteria, focusing on that. So there are about 7 that I've listed in the slide on the recorded video. So please have a look at it, focus on it, and really align it with your proposal you will be applying.
Okay.
Is that clear enough for answer?
I think it's clear.
Okay, great. Another question?
Yeah, I have another question. Could you share
Mhm.
any examples of activities that you think would fall under knowledge generation grants?
Okay, activity is not really about activities falling in under knowledge generation. When we talk about knowledge generation grant, is filling the gaps or documented of practice. So it depends on your own context or the topics you want to work on. You will go through it in a couple of minutes when we will dive into the right shop. So you want to work on in a specific topic, you need to really see what is missing in your context and conduct research on this topic. So it's not about what you need as a product or not, but it's just filling the gaps. So look at your context in the field of SRHR, what is missing there, what is the needs of the community, and see whether it's possible, really doable to conduct a research in it with this grant activation grants. Yeah.
Okay, so it's really about identifying the
Yeah.
knowledge gaps in
Yeah.
your area of expertise and
Yeah.
then seeing if you can write a proposal that addresses that specific knowledge gap and making clear to the selection committee why it's so important this knowledge gap is addressed.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, another question. Should partner organizations be members as well?
For this partner organization, it is not mandatory to be a member. I think that's something I would mention it as well. The most important is that the lead applicant to be a member of ShareNet International. But of course, we encourage this partner applicant to join our community of ShareNet International. So if they want to partner to apply for a grant, please apply for a membership.
Yeah, so we hope that everyone will be a member, but it's not an obligation for partners to be a member as well.
Yes.
Are there any priority thematic areas, asks Mafuto?
Okay, good question, and thank you for asking it because I think it's good to clarify this. And for this activation grant, we don't have any priorities area. So any teams, SRHR teams, can be addressed in your proposals. So it's up to you to look at on which topic you would like to work and write a proposal submit. Yeah, so no priorities.
Okay. Another question. So there's this big international NGO with offices around the world in France and Germany and Georgia, and they all work on the same theme. Is it then possible to apply for the collaboration grant, or should it be different partners?
I think one of the criteria to be eligible for a grant is that to be a member of ShareNet International and being registered as an organization. if this, for example, I would say networking, a different organization really register or not even, and they want to apply for collaboration grant, it's possible.
Yeah.
But just one of them will be leading this collaboration, not all of them. Yeah.
But this question is more like, let's say Oxfam Novib wants to apply for a grant and they have different offices around the world. Can they then, with their different offices, apply for collaboration grant, or should it be different organizations? And I think the answer is different organizations.
Yeah,
it cannot be
it's different
one
organization.
international organization with different field offices.
Okay, no,
applying
it need to be different organization, of course. Yes.
Okay.
If it's the same, no.
I think we answered already a lot of questions, and we have to start to move on.
Okay.
Maybe one more is, how many projects are we expected to fund for each of those types of grants? Do you have
okay.
an idea?
Okay, so I would say our total funding per year is 2,500,000 euro. So we have these three different types of grant. The first one is up to 25,000, the second up to 10,000, and the third one up to 7,500. So it will depend on the application, how high they will score, because we select based on the total score they will get after the selection process. So if there is enough fund for 10 grants, let's say, with a max of 25, they will be granted. But for now, we don't know how many type of collaboration or translation or generation grant we will have. So it might be difficult to give you a number. But at least with this amount, we know that each year we can make more than 10 grants per year.
Yes. And maybe more if it are smaller.
Yes, smaller.
Grants, but we don't have a fixed number
of
proposals we will grant per type of grant.
Yeah, I can give an example. Last year we had 15 grantees, for example.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a mix between the three type of grants. Yeah.
Okay, then we're almost at the end of the question and answer session. I see one more question about the simultaneous translation. So today we're working with Wordly. Maybe Nora, you can share the link one more time in the chat, and there you can then select the language of your choice. And I see that someone is requesting Spanish, so that is possible. It's good to know it's not 100% perfect, but at least you get the main gist of what we're talking about. Yes. And then the last question I see is about examples of knowledge products, and that we will talk about later today. Yes. So we'll park this question for now, but we will get to it later in the presentation. So thank you everyone for sharing all your questions, and then we will continue with our Write Shop. Can we go to the next slide?
Okay.
So we will now getting into the writing tips to support you in writing a good quality proposal. So I want to go through some objectives with you. Next slide, please. So the Write Shop objectives for today are to improve relevant skills for proposal writing, to understand what knowledge products are. So that is an excellent question of Melanie. Can we go back to?
Yeah.
We want to reduce a bit the pitfalls that we often see when we are reading the proposals, and that we think, oh, this could be easily prevented if you watch out for this or this. So we can build on the experiences of previous applicants. We want to create diversity in the scope of SRHR themes and knowledge products. So we want to inspire you a bit to think outside of the box. We want to give you a bit of basic information about using sound methodology in your proposal. And we want to strengthen translation and dissemination strategies, because often we see strong proposals with rather clear outcomes, but then they have not really thought about the next steps of what to do after with this knowledge product. And we hope to also make you think about next steps, how you want to facilitate the uptake of what you're gonna create. So then I would like to give the word to Amie for the next part.
Thank you, Kimberly. And now, so let's dive into the art and science of proposal writing now. And then the first starting point, as we already just said, for the proposal writing is to identify the issue. And when you identify the issue, it's good to think about that it should be linked to your experience. But also, when writing your proposal, it's important to remain consistent about the issue throughout the proposal. But ask yourself while writing your proposal, why did you select that issue? What was your motivation? Based on your experience, your context, but also ask yourself, in which way is your knowledge product linked to this issue? And does it help you understand it better? And does this issue further translate knowledge about it? So it's really important to check this point when you identify your issue, but also it's good to be mindful about what has been produced already. So we were talking about knowledge gap, it's gaps. It's not something not already existing, but we want you to be innovative, be creative, think about what is missing in your context. And based on your experience, so be innovative, think about innovation. And then last but not the least, while thinking about identifying this issue is having in mind to be intersectional. It means including SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goal. You want to tackle the issue, you want to an issue, address it. Think about an issue that is intersectional, that is linked to one or two or more SDGs to be more transversal. So now let's move to our first exercise. I hope you already have a pen and a paper, as I already asked it at the start of the presentation. And this exercise consists of answering these 5 questions to help you identify the issue you want to work on. So the first is to select an SRHR issue theme. Second, explain why you selected this specific issue. That's the problem statement. And 3, please write down in which way your expertise is linking to this issue, so your experience. 4, explain why you have selected a specific knowledge product to address this issue. It's important to link the issue to the knowledge product. And 5, explain in which way your approach to this issue is innovative or needed in your context. So for this exercise, you have 15 minutes to work on these 5 questions. Then after this 15 minutes, we will allow one of you or more, if time allows us, because we have 15 minutes to discuss this, to share with us what they write down, and then the other participant can provide feedback. Is that okay and clear for everyone? Okay, so let's start. Wait, you can start. We can keep track on time. Oh, Nora, you raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just saw that for Wordly, there was a weird translation concerning the intersectional part. Amie meant, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals and not STI, sexual transmitted disease. Okay. If this may have confused any one of you, okay?
Yes. Thank you, Nora, for keeping an eye open on Wordly. So you have 15 minutes to work on these 5 questions. And after, we will go to the discussion part.
Hi, Kwasi. We are currently doing the writing exercise. So you can look at the 5 questions and write down for yourself on a piece of paper how that is for the proposal you're planning to write, or you are already in the process of writing. And then later on, we will in plenary discuss some of the answers that participants gave to these questions. So I think 2 more minutes and then we go to the plenary to discuss.
Yeah. Yes, right. 2 more minutes.
In the meantime, Amie, I see a question in the chat that maybe we can answer. The question is it possible to share the Word version of the application form to work on the questions offline and then copy and paste online?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it's a good one. This is something possible. We can share this if it's really helpful for you to work on your application. So it's feasible. What we can do, we'll put it online and share it via the digital platform later.
Yeah, The only thing is that the only way you can submit it is via the
Digital platform.
online, via
Yes.
the digital
Yes.
platform. So,
But,
so we do not accept any Word or PDF
no.
file.
But also good to know that maybe the person asking the question is encountering some connection issue, but it's possible to log in again and work on the application many times you want.
Right.
Yeah.
That,
Come
that
back
is
and
new. We did not have
yeah.
that
Yes.
yet last year. So,
Yes.
so what Amie is saying is that if you, for instance, worked on question 1, 2, 3, and then you take a break for coffee or your
You can
internet
save it.
is down, it's saved, and you can continue at a later stage with the remaining questions or revise the answers that you gave to questions before. So that is new, and we hope that that also makes the application process smoother.
Smoother, yeah. And I show it on the video, so you can go to your account, go to my activities, and then you can see this edit button. So you can edit there your application form, and once it's really complete, you can submit as many times you want. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
but
so
still,
that recorded video that Amie made, if you have not seen it yet, that's maybe good to have another look at, because it provides a lot of practical information on how to submit your proposal.
Yeah.
So and we are already thanked Amie for this meeting, so we are only halfway. So that is good. Shall we go to the plenary?
Yes, let us go to the plenary. It's the 15 minutes are over now. So as I already said, is there anyone who is volunteering to share with what you have written down? Please raise your hand, let us know, so we can give you the floor. Okay, I see Kazi Rokea raise her hand. So please go ahead, the floor is yours.
So like previously from my organization, we did a research where we went to a rural area of Bangladesh. Over there, when we were talking to adolescent girls, they were talking about their reproductive health and their menstrual health. So when there is that area is very flood prone area, so when there is a flood, they have to take birth control pills so that they can stop their period. So I want to work for them and create a program where we can create a safe environment for them to regulate their menstrual cycle during times when they are facing a climate crisis. Am I clear, or is there any confusion?
Okay, thank you for sharing your idea. And then I will ask the other participants if they want to provide feedbacks of what Kazi said. Okay, I see 2 participants raise their hand. Please.
Yes, I have some idea. I'm not idea, I have feedback. I'm not clear whether which type of activation grant she is applying. If she clearly applying, then we'll discuss on that. Which type among the type 3 grant, in which part she is applying, so we can discuss further.
Okay, thank you. Please answer the question. Kazi, did you understand the question?
Yeah, I did, but I'll work. I'll try. I am interested in working for the knowledge generation.
Type 3.
Because can I say the because?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So previously, my background from evidence and seeing from the scenario of my country, when we do climate data, or when there is any report regarding the climate data, stories like this where women are suffering, adolescent girls are suffering. They cannot regulate their period. They have to stop their period due to issues where the shelters are not sufficient enough and they are not equipped enough for them. This kind of scenario are not reflected into those reports. That's why the story that I am telling you, that they are taking birth control pills to stop their period, it is not reflected in any of the reports. So I
So it's
want to,
missing.
yeah, this data is missing, but we
Okay.
know this data because we go over there and they talk with us.
Okay.
Like
But
whenever,
there is no documentation about it, no
yes,
research.
there is
Okay.
no documentation. So I want to work for documentation creation where people will see that women are suffering due to climate crisis, and climate crisis is not only sea level rising or like shelter destruction. It is also affecting the like SRHR scenario of women as well. And also, if you see in Bangladesh, I have seen a post. There was like when there is cyclones or like floods, women, they do not tend to go to shelters. They want to
Okay.
like stay near their house because the shelters are
Mhm.
not like do not have the capability to like foster their needs.
Yeah.
So I want to work for the knowledge generation, so that
Okay.
my country acknowledges the fact that women do have specific needs, and those needs are not being fostered by the shelters.
Okay. Thank you for
Okay,
sharing your idea.
I have
Please
one
go
question
ahead.
again.
Question. Okay.
So I think it is knowledge generation means that should be some of the resource component. And will you please elaborate the which type of resource design are you planning to? Because we need to reach in a conclusion. Because we have to, we have to find new solution, or we have to identify something new. So we have to some research design, research methods. So do you have any plan? Which type of research method are you, and some outcome variables, some measurements we should do? So do you have any idea about that?
Yes, of course. Like from my experience, I can say that qualitative data do not work that much. We need quantitative data in our reports so that we can reflect the scenario that is being happening in those areas. So we want to like collect the data in a qualitative way, so that we can show like the authoritative bodies that this woman or these adolescent girls are suffering very much. So we want to do a research where we will collect qualitative data, and we will like disseminate it throughout the authority and throughout other stakeholders and CSOs, so that they can take selective measures where these girls or this woman will be helped, and their specific needs will be addressed.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your answer, Kazi. And I think
Thank
Sharmi
you.
raised her head. Please go ahead, Sharmi.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Yes.
Kazi. So most of my questions have already been covered by Govindo. So thank you, Govindo, too. Maybe an add-on to Kazi, as I'm also from Bangladesh and we have also seen the similar scenario. So maybe you can include not only flood-affected people, but also any natural disaster-prone areas like Khulna, Satkhira. People from that area.
Yes, I am thinking about that, but as you know, we cannot share all our things. So I wasn't saying stuff like that. So I was just saying my experience. But we are planning to intervene in those into those areas which are like affected the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your response, Kazi. Is that okay, Sharmi?
Yes.
Anyone else have a question for Kazi? So I think it's okay. So we have only now still 80 minutes left. Maybe.
Yes, I have.
Oh,
Can
Govinda. Okay.
I
Yeah.
explain my idea, my topic?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. If it another volunteer want to share, so go ahead.
Let
Go
me
ahead,
share.
Govinda.
Okay.
Yes.
My issue is related to the HIV and family planning, because that is the issue, because the problem is that the women living with HIV and in remote and rural areas have low uptake of family planning services. That is the problem. So to address this issue, I'm trying to focus on community-based intervention. Community-based intervention. And basically, my expertise in this field, I'm trying to do some community-based researches. That means that my idea is related to the type knowledge generation type of activity grant. My idea. Now I'll explain my actual what I want to do. Okay, let me.
Okay.
Actually, we have so many knowledge products. So many knowledge products. For example, I may say that provider behavior implementation kit, toolkit. Currently, some of my partner organizations in Nigeria is developing that toolkit, and other organizations have already developed some other toolkit. So I mean to say that there are knowledge products, but the missing point is that the knowledge products are not validated in specific context, and they are not standardized, and they are for specific population. For example, by population for HIV, and this knowledge projects are vague in the sense because it is a provider behavior. But I mean to work on community-based provider. So I mean to say that these knowledge products have some of the gaps. They are not specific. So I want to design an implemented research to validate, to standardize the knowledge product for specific context. For my nice opinion, if I'm working in remote and rural village of far western province of Nepal, I will in that context, and for women HIV, married women living with HIV of reproductive age, that is specific context. So I will validate I will perform an implementation research to validate a knowledge project, and at the last at the moment I will do series of tests. For example, baseline and inline result, outcome measures. Outcome measures are related to the how the contraceptive uptake rate varies between the women in the baseline inline, as well as the behavior of the community health workers, attitudes, their communication skills, how they have improved. So I want to analyze this data. Based on this, I may find some of the missing gaps. I will find some missing gaps, and I will provide recommendation, and I'll validate and standardize the knowledge product, that specific knowledge product. For example, provider behavior implementation toolkit, I may standardize it, validate it. That is my idea.
Thank you, Govinda, for sharing your idea. That's a nice one as well. Anyone in the audience, we still have 5 minutes. Have feedback for Govinda about his idea? No comment from the other participant?
I can say something, although
okay, please go. Yeah, yes,
from Charmaine is saying nice ideas, so that's a compliment for Govinda. I think you very well explain the issue and why it's needed and the approach you're about to take, or that you want to explain more about in your proposal. I think you could work a bit more on why you are the right candidate to do this. So also share in your proposal something about the expertise that you and your organization have, and also a bit about this innovativeness. Like, why do you think that what you are gonna do will make this difference? Well, up to now, apparently, because a lot happens in the field of HIV/AIDS, why did that did not have the results, and why is what you are proposing innovative, and why do you think that's going to make a difference? So that's maybe something for a next step to work a bit on more. And I think that's the same for Kwasi, who also very well explained why it's so needed, the importance, the problem statement, I think will work out very well. But then the next step is to work more about why are you and your organization the right choice to implement this proposal, and what is then innovative about the way that you're gonna address it. I also see someone, Shirish, is saying maybe also good to think about the ethical aspects, about disclosure, how to identify the women, how to do community-based research among women with HIV. So I think that relates very well also to what I'm gonna talk about a bit later. So if there are not any more questions, maybe we can move.
So I wanted to add a point from both Kasi and Govinda. So I was missing the specific target groups. Like maybe in your proposal, you might add some specific data, statistics.
We will move to that point later in our presentation. So it's a good remark. And then this part was only about identifying the issue. So we wanted you to think about already on the issue you want to work on, and really on which aspect you need to focus to get really all the information we needed for your application. So Kwasi, please go ahead quickly before we move.
So I'm just asking for validation right now, actually, from you. Like, am I thinking into the right direction? Like, is is my idea potential enough to be like proposed
it's
in a
nice
platform
idea.
like ShareNet?
It's a nice idea.
Yeah,
it's nice.
So
Both
much.
are nice.
Thank you.
Nice idea. And as Kimberley said, please write down her comment and others participant feedback as well to really improve this part of identifying the issue. Right?
Right.
So
and
they are really
what I
putting
can add,
context.
Kwasi, for you specifically also is that our hub in Bangladesh, ShareNet Bangladesh, is also working on the intersection between SRHR and climate change, and they have also produced several knowledge products on this topic. So I think it's also interesting for you to look at what to the knowledge that's already out there and see how you can link up on that to build further and not replicate maybe the same thing. So it's exactly. So that I wanted to still say, like, maybe have a look at the website also, ShareNet Bangladesh, and see what's already out there on this intersection between climate change and SRHR. But it's a very relevant topic that we as ShareNet International are definitely interested in. But of course, there are many other topics, so we cannot say right now that it will be the winning proposal, but
it's a nice idea.
It is a nice idea to definitely consider.
Yeah, so reminded us, look at what has been already done and what is missing, really for the type 3 knowledge activation grant. It's like looking at what you are missing. So search in your context what has been done and identify the best topic. Okay, so thank you very much to Kwasi and all the participants for Kwasi and the other one I forgot the name, sorry.
Govinda.
Govinda, for sharing your ideas, and for all of you for giving feedbacks. And then now, yes, we are moving to the next part of our session. And from here, I will hand it to Kimberley. Yes, it's yours now, Kimberley.
Thank you, Amie. So I will briefly dive in a bit about the science of proposal writing, a bit about sound methodology, or maybe even better to say appropriate methodology, which is really key to obtaining reliable findings and also creating good quality knowledge products. So usually in research, there are 3 common approaches to conduct research. And then we're thinking about indeed what was already mentioned, quantitative or qualitative research, or what is usually considered the strongest is mixed methods. At the same time, we also have to realize that the funding of these grants are limited. So it's really important that you select the methodology that fits your objectives of your proposal best, and whether that's indeed to really focus on generating new knowledge, or that it's about creating a knowledge product that is based on already existing knowledge. And how that knowledge is currently already existing. Is that knowledge already written down somewhere? Can you easily extract it to create your knowledge product, or is it, or does it require work? And with work, I mean, sometimes we are talking about knowledge that is in people's minds. It's like from best practices, for instance, from practitioners that work in the field and have a lot of experience. And if you want to do something with that existing knowledge, you have to pick the methodology that can extract that knowledge to create your knowledge product. And also it really depends on the knowledge product that you're gonna choose, whatever methodology fits best. So this requires some thinking from your end for your topic. What would then be the best approach? And to select the right knowledge product is also really thinking about your target audience and what knowledge product will be the most attractive or appropriate for them. So it's good to consider engaging with the different groups that are relevant for your project, for your knowledge product. So you can think of researchers, of practitioners, policymakers, the media, but also the general community or your final beneficiaries that you want to reach. Maybe those boys or girls, or the women with HIV, or the women living in disaster-prone climate change areas in Bangladesh. So what we always look for when we're going through proposals is if you are applying ethical approaches. So it's very important for us that you respect confidentiality, that you're thinking of underage standards in doing research, and that you also share your research results back with the people that are part of your research. So for instance, if you're interviewing women in rural Africa, then we also expect that you share your results in the final knowledge product with them, to also show them how their input translated to certain outcomes, and also to validate if indeed this is what matches with what they were sharing with you information-wise. So you can either create new research or to translate this research, and you can also really think about disseminating it. So you have to think about, for your project, what type of knowledge activation grant fits best, what methodology then fits best with what you want to achieve, and whether it's easy for you to extract this research and it's already written down, or if it's really needed for you to, for instance, do qualitative research, and then indeed you can have a research component even if you're creating a knowledge product, to really extract that knowledge that you need for the content of your knowledge product. So I hope that that is clear. And what we really hope is that you use rights affirming language that's in line with human rights principles and standards. That's also something that we're really looking for in your proposal. Are there any questions about this? And otherwise I will move on. Kwasi, I see a hand, but maybe that's an old hand. I'm not sure.
Another question. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no
it's
problem.
fine. It's fine.
Alif, I see a raised hand from you.
Hi. Can I share right now my question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So in the science of proposal writing, you mentioned about a rights-based approach, right?
Right.
So would you mind elaborating a bit on it, and also a bit on ethics part? Because as you have mentioned already, when we are writing proposals, you might want to see how the target audience's messages are interpreted, if I understood it correctly.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part?
So you were discussing about the ethics part, right? So
Right.
in that you mentioned when so we should be focusing on the target audience. So what their messages are, how those are interpreted in the final product, knowledge product, if I understood it correctly.
Well,
That's
that
what you
really
meant.
depends on, of course, what you are gonna focus on and what type of knowledge product you create. But one option is that maybe you indeed go to beneficiaries, like not professionals in the field of SRHR, but really the women, the men, the boys, and the girls
The end user.
that you for whom you want to improve the SRHR. And either way doesn't matter. Either when you are interviewing healthcare professionals delivering youth-friendly health services, or whether you are interviewing women with HIV in Nepal, doesn't matter. We always are looking for ethical, sound research, which means that always when you are interviewing someone, you explain them about, for instance, informed consent, that they can withdraw at any moment, that they are free to not answer certain questions if they do not feel comfortable. These types of things. Also, when you are interviewing young people, there are additional international ethical standards that we want you to adhere to, because young people are extra vulnerable. So I'm not going into detail now, but it's good, depending on your target population, to really think critically about the about ethical considerations within your project. And then on the human rights-based approach, I think for that we can also talk about more than an hour, because it's very interesting how you can apply rights-based approaches in your work and also in your proposal. But usually it's really about participation. So if you are writing about persons living with a disability, then we're really hoping that you also involve these groups in your research or in your project, that there is accountability back to them. So you also inform them with feedback loops on what you have done. Of course, that you're using non-discriminatory language and that you focus very much on equality. So equal rights, but also equal access. That you focus on empowerment. So maybe something on capacity strengthening, or making sure that voices are heard, and about legality. So you also have to stay within the laws, and especially the international laws on human rights. I hope that explains a bit what I meant with that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear you, Aziz? Can you hear us still?
Alif, are you still here?
Alif, yeah.
Because it was a very good question.
For sure. Yeah. Maybe we missed.
And not a very short answer, unfortunately, because it encompasses a lot. But I hope that this explanation makes a bit more sense. And I also expect that a lot of this knowledge is already inside you. I think as SRHR professionals, we know, but it's good to refresh a little bit and to make sure that in your proposal you also showcase that you have thought about it. Because I've had in the past that I was asking questions about this to applicants, and they said, yeah, of course we are doing this, of course there's informed consent, but then also mention it in your proposal so it's clear that you have thought it through and that you showcase that ethics and using a right-based approach is part of your proposal.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yes, I think to
Okay.
keep track on our time.
Yeah, we can have to keep track on the time.
Yes.
So limitations and challenges. Well, any project usually has limitations and challenges to its execution, and being aware of them upfront can contribute to you being able to mitigate harms by, for instance, using the appropriate methodology we previously were talking about. You can then also improve the accuracy of your results, of the outcomes of your project. So reflecting on limitations and challenges and really writing them down for your specific idea, and to find ways of mitigating these limitations and challenges can make your methodology and your proposal stronger. So to do that, we are gonna do an exercise using SWOT. So we can go to the next slide, and then I'm gonna quickly move you through it. So the SWOT analysis is a framework for identifying and analyzing your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are really internal factors that are part of you with your experience within your organization, while opportunities and threats are external. And the SWOT analysis typically consists of 4 boxes. So you can see that on the left, 1 for each area. And you can use the SWOT exercise to decide whether your initial idea for this activation grant proposal is worth exploring further. And you want to submit a full proposal, or maybe you see this many threats and weaknesses and not so many strengths and opportunities, and then it's a good indication that you might want to think about another idea for your proposal. So what we're saying is, by clearly outlining all the positives and negatives of a project, the SWOT analysis can make it easier for you to decide how to move forward. And we hope that you're willing to put it into practice. So the strengths are in the left upper box, and these are the critical internal success factors that give you basically this competitive advantage over other applicants. So why do we want to know this? Well, you want to leverage and build upon these strengths in your proposal. So questions you can ask yourself is, what do you do well? What unique expertise or experiences, resources, or data your organization can draw on? And what do others see as your strengths? Sometimes if it's difficult to give yourself compliments, it helps to try to see yourself from someone else's point of view. So what do others see as your strength? Then next, in the upper right box, you want to identify your weaknesses and investigate ways to improve, because weaknesses can put you in a disadvantage compared to other proposals or applicants. So questions you can ask yourself is, what internal factors can prevent you from successfully implementing the project? Where do you have fewer resources or expertise than others? Or what are others likely to see as your weaknesses in your proposal? Another question is there sufficient HR data available to you and your organization to work with, or are you able to extract this information? And what can you do to possibly improve on this? So in the lower left box, you pinpoint your opportunities. So these are external. So what opportunities are open to you? Which external factors can support you in implementing the project? This could, for instance, be resources that are available to you, policies that are implemented or are going to be implemented, existing laws, stakeholders that you have good relationships with, potential partners or allies. What trends in your country or context could you take advantage of? So, and how can you turn these opportunities into your strength? That's a final question that you can ask yourself. And then if we move to the lower right box of potential threats, And then you can ask yourself, well, what factors or trends could pose a risk to you successfully implementing your grant project? And which stakeholders, laws, or legislation could maybe negatively impact your project outcomes? And if you know and you've identified these threats, then you can also say something in your proposal and showcase that you are aware of these threats and how you're planning to deal with this. So I hope that this was a clear instruction. Please let me know if there are any questions, but I would like to ask, and maybe you already started because you're so excited to work with this SWOT analysis tool, is that you use it for your own project proposal. So you can start with making 4 squares on a piece of paper and write in each of the squares your strength, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I think we go a little bit faster. So maybe we give 5 minutes to you to write this down. And then there's a possibility for someone to share or to ask questions or comments.
Yes. Great.
Please go ahead. And if you have any questions or comments in the meantime, I'm also here to help you.
Great.
Oh, and Alif, I see your message that you got disconnected because I was having this whole story about human rights and doing ethically sound research. But I hope you can watch it back in the video and that it answers your question. So no problem.
Yes, the video will be posted. Okay, so you have 5 minutes. Maybe move to the next slide, Kimberley, to show them the example for this SWOT analysis that can maybe help them.
Yeah, this we could do. This is just an example that we filled out to help you a little bit on your way. So we said that the issue here is SRHR needs of children with disability, and they want to do a policy analysis, and then this applicant thought about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But I mean, these are just examples, but it can be
to guide them.
A lot more.
Yes. So.
So I'll give you 1 more minute to round off. And in the meantime, I see a question in the chat from Yeme Wudish Bekele about that they're working for an organization focusing on women's issues, and that they're working with grassroots women and children. So yes, women's issues are part, I think, of SRHR, but you really have to make sure that you focus on that intersection where women's issues and SRHR intersects. And then really think about a topic that would fit well in your context. Because women's issues are very broad and we're really looking for this SRHR focus. Okay, is there anyone who would like to share their SWOT analysis for their proposal? You can either raise your hand or say something in the chat.
Kimberley, can I share my idea regarding the SWOT?
Sure.
Yes, of
Please
course.
go ahead.
Okay. Of course, the background of the project I already mentioned is that my project is to validate the provider's behavior toolkit in the real world setting. That is the main theme of the project to do the research. So regarding this, regarding the strength, we have teamwork. Already we have partnership and team building. We have finished. This means that we are working in this project in our setting, means rural and remote setting of Far Western Province for the last 10 years. We have good teamwork and partnership. So this is one of our strengths. Regarding the opportunities, that is, our project align well with the policy of the Ministry of Health and Population Nepal. That means family planning and HIV integration is one of the priority area of the Ministry of Health and Population. So it is our opportunity. Regarding the weakness, I think the community health worker, we are targeting to change the behavior, attitude, behavior, and practice and communication skill, all aspects of the community health workers. So whether this is acceptable for them or not, we have to validate it. It is in the risky. We are in the risky situation. We have to validate this weakness because it is the target population of community health workers, and we need to change their behavior. So whether it is acceptable, which is feasible, we have to validate it. This is our weakness. And threats are regarding the women living with HIV, because outcome variables are related to measuring the contraceptive uptake rate and other variables. We need to conduct this research in a good ethical standard, confidentiality. So we have to face this threat. Anyway, we are working in the project HIV area for a long period. We may use some of our skills regarding, and we try to maintain all ethical standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Govinda, for sharing. Well done. Is there anyone who would like to respond, or anyone that has questions for Govinda? So I think what you did well was to really look at the strength of your organization and the experience that you already have for many years. So I can really advise that for other applicants as well to really look at your expertise on this topic and the previous work or projects that you have done that can showcase basically that you can do this. Opportunities were also well explained, that the ministry is having this as a focus topic, so that we also see in the example. There are many other opportunities that you can list, so it's good to dive deeper besides this opportunity. What other opportunities are there? So again, you can list allies, potential partners, really trends within your context. So all these can have a place in your application. Weaknesses, you mentioned that you want to change the behavior of these providers, and that you're not sure how willing they are to change the behavior. So that is also what we meant with doing
this exercise.
So this is a good example. And what you can then think about is how can you engage them from the start in your project to also have their opinions integrated within your project from the beginning. So it creates a sort of buy-in. You might already find out a bit what could potentially work or what is not an option at all. And you can then also create these feedback loops with your target group to feedback what you're doing and see if, for instance, the knowledge product that you developed, if that resonates before you start to print or disseminate it widely. So that is an advice that I could give you. But well done. And I hope for others this was also a handy exercise. If you have any questions, you can also write in the chat, but for the sake of time, we have to continue because we have more in store for you. So
Yes.
I hand over again to Amie.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly, for this part. I think it's very useful for the participants so they can evaluate from now if about the feasibility of their ideas. It's really important to conduct this SWOT exercise. So, still in the art and science of proposal writing, after identifying the issue and then reflecting on the research methodology with Kimberley and knowledge translation aspect, we need to think about the target audience. We mentioned it, and then it can be primary or secondary. And by primary audience, we mean it's the group you will be targeting your knowledge product. Explain who they are, and not just say, for example, when writing your application, a marginalized group, just and not giving details about this group. So mention your primary audience is really important when you write a proposal. But still, this knowledge product you will be developing is not maybe only limited to this primary audience. We have a secondary one. And by secondary audience, we mean those who can also benefit from this knowledge product, even though not specifically targeted. So I can give some examples. For example, if you have video that target SRHR needs of single mothers, for example, is a knowledge product you would like to develop. For this example, the primary target would be the single mothers. And as secondary targets, for example, you can mention the policymaker, inform them about this, and public health practitioner can be involved by this video. That was initially have primary audience, the single mothers, but as well can inform this policymaker and the public health practitioner. Another example is, for example, as knowledge product, you want to conduct a campaign about youth and sexuality. For this example, the primary target is the young people, and the secondary one could be the Minister of Education and the parent. Because while you want to conduct this campaign, you can inform them at the same time about youth and sexuality. So it was about identifying your target audience. Another important step toward writing your proposal. Then after this different point, set your goals and objectives. Be smart. And this means setting specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant and time-based objectives. And this is critical for proposal writing. And this leads us to our third exercise that will consist to writing your objectives and using the SMART check to answer this question. Is your knowledge product smart? So you can think about the knowledge product you want to develop and then use this 5 points to see if it's really smart. You have 15 minutes to go through this exercise. Maybe before we go through the exercise, you have some question about it, about the SMART check. Is there anyone raising his hand? No, so it's clear. Answer this question. Is your knowledge product smart? You have 15 minutes.
So I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
So yeah, maybe we can make our project time bound based on our activation, like maybe for 6 months or 4 months. But on the other hand, our impact might not be time bounded. So impact will be coming day after day. So in this particular area, what will be our focus on? Like, are we focusing on the project duration or on the impact?
I think when we talk about, thank you for your question, it's a very good one. When you talk about impact, it could be short or measure of long term. And for this project that are funded by our activation grant, the main aim is not really achieving in a short term an impact. It would be contributing towards this impact in the short term in the context where you are working on. But for now, is writing your proposal based on the 9 months implementation time allowed for the activation grant. Is that clear for you?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question regarding this one? The smart check. And on this slide, you have this example of a smart check. So you can read it and this can help you go through the check for your own knowledge product. So we have 15 minutes and then we can come back to discuss. Or maybe Kimberley, we should go for 10 minutes maybe, because we are running out of time, I think.
Yeah, I would not take it for too long.
Too long.
10
So
minutes may be good.
let's go for 10 minutes. Yes.
Amie, are you there?
Yes, Kimberly, you're talking to me.
Yes, we have a question in the chat that I thought
Okay.
we can maybe answer while we're waiting for the other participants to finish
Yes.
with the SMART example. And that is about the language. So someone's asking, does it have to be in English, the application, or can I also submit in French, for instance, or in Spanish?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you can submit in French or in Spanish or in Arabic. That's why we have the application form in the different languages. So that's possible for these 4 languages.
So we accept.
We are sorry, we don't
French, we
French,
accept French, Spanish, Arabic, and
Arabic,
English.
English. Yeah, we are sorry for the other language. We hope maybe in the future we are able to really have all this language available, but for now we have only these 4. So for the English speaker, French, Spanish, and Arabic, please, at the digital platform, you can find the application form in these different languages. So you choose the one who is like most suited to your context and you can apply. We, from our side, we will translate after the application form for the peer review when needed.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Here. And then we have a question specifically about the SMART example. And that is for the relevant part. So that's the one before the last bullet. Can we validate from our experience if it's not addressed by any government agencies like the Ministry of Health in the example?
Oh, yes, I think you can validate it from your own experience. It depends on which topic you want to work, because maybe the Ministry of Health doesn't have a complete, I would say, view or focus on all the topics that might be relevant for the communities. They are not generally in contact with the community, though they don't know 100% their needs. Generally, organizations working in the fields know better the needs of the community. Now, maybe a topic can be missed out by the Ministry of Health, and you as an organization working with communities and in the field, you think that's really relevant, please consider it as relevant and draw the attention of the Ministry of Health on that topic and the importance to work on it. So it's possible.
Great.
Yeah.
Shall we move to the plenary again?
Yes, I think, because we are running a little bit out of time. Let us move to the plenary. So anyone want to share? It's smart to check and maybe Govinda, is there anyone else to avoid giving you the floor all the time? If there is no one who wants to share, maybe you can take it.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's more fair.
Okay. Let me share. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else want first to share the smart check? Don't be shy. Please jump in and share your idea. There are no good or wrong answer. Just share, and we can provide you with feedback, and that could help you improve your application. So it seems that Govinda, you are the only one who wants to share. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Our project is very specific in the sense that we are trying to change the behavior of the provider to facilitate the uptake of the family planning service among HIV people, HIV, women living HIV of reproductive age, very specific. And it is measurable because we are doing evaluation through inline data and baseline data. First, we have to do the baseline data, then after intervention, we'll try to catch the inline data. So it is measurable. Okay. And it is attainable because we are engaging, we are applying community-based participatory approach, and engaging the communities in this project. So it could be result could be attainable, and it is relevant in the sense that this HIV and family planning integration is a high priority area of the policy of the government. Integration, this should be strengthened. Government is in this policy, making the policy. And of course, it is time bound. We can finish this project in 7 months of implementation stage. We can find, we have in the proposal, we can mention that this project will be finished implementation time for 7 months. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Govinda, for sharing your smart check. And before making comments, maybe anyone of the participants want to give feedback to Govinda?
May I go?
Yes, go please, Xiaomin.
Yeah, I have 2 points for specific and attainable.
Okay.
So for specific, maybe you can also like elaborate your target group by their ages, background, maybe with that also, rather than only like community or women, maybe from their background, ages, occupation, maybe. And you were also talking about community. Maybe if I would be on the selection panel, I would more like to hear more about the community. Who are they? Like the girls, women, boys, what? So maybe, yeah, these 2 points you can think about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Xiaomin, for this relevant feedback. Anyone else would like to give Govinda feedback on a smart check? Please raise your hand or write your question in the chat. So I think nobody is raising a hand, and then my comment would be thank you for this nice smart check, Govinda. And as feedback, I will add from what Charmin has already said about the relevant point, because one question was just raised about if it's not a priority for the Ministry of Health, but it is, for example, for the organization or the community. So you just mentioned this part of the Ministry of Health that being high on this agenda, but please also make sure that it's a needs for the community. That this topic is really important and it's needed in this community. So that's what I wanted to answer, but I think for the rest it's nice to hear your smart check, and yeah, it's good. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Are there any
so
other comments? Yes,
you.
go ahead.
I have a question to you. So when we are talking about that community has the demand, like how are we validating these claims? Like apart from like saying that, okay, community wants this and that, but how actually we can validate this through you, the selection board?
Oh, okay, that's a good question, because when you say community want this and you want to validate it, oh, that could be 2 situations. This has been already researched in the past, so you have documentation about it, you can confirm it, or there is nothing written about it. So I think the first step would be first to create knowledge about that, because it's missing. Maybe you are in contact with the community, they say their needs, but we need to document it, to conduct research about it, for example, doing a qualitative research to explore and identify their needs first before moving on to maybe finding a solution on how to address these knowledge gaps. So I think that's the best way to go for it. Maybe anyone else, if you agree, or what do you think? Yeah, Govinda, is it okay for you?
Yes, of course. I mean to say that we are validating in our context. In our context means rural and remote villages of harvesting province of Nepal is less developed in the country, less developed. Women HIV are the target population. Although so many tools, and my partner organization is developing that tool also. It is developing. Some organization has breakthrough action has developed the tool, but it is not validated in our context. Resource setting. That's why we community. We have to see what are the challenges, and we have to rectify. We are trying to adapt the tool in our setting.
Your setting. Okay, that's clear. Thank you. Is that okay for you, Sharmi? As response?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. I think if anyone else and have a remark or question, we can move. Thank you, Govinda, again for sharing well, your idea and all the participants for your feedbacks. So let us move now. And we are planned to have a coffee time. I don't know, Kimberly, how are we doing in terms of time?
We are
Or shall we
a bit behind, so
behind?
maybe we
can
do like a 2 or 3 minute
uh-huh.
break for a quick toilet break, or to
Yes.
press the button on that coffee machine, and that we go right onto it, because we were planning to round off around 4, and we have some
Yes.
more information to share that can help you
Yes.
with your proposal. So
Okay.
shall we meet in like 3 minutes? Is that possible for everyone?
Yes, let's go for 3 minutes and then we'll go through the last part of our meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
see you in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, so then I think we can continue. I hope you're all back from a very short break, but I hope it was enough time to get some coffee or tea.
Yeah.
Then we go for the last part of
Yes.
of our right shop.
Yes.
So what we are really hoping for, and it is a bit to with the aim to inspire you, is that we're looking for knowledge brokers, whether you are generating new knowledge or creating a knowledge product based on existing knowledge and translating that into a new format. We're really looking for you to be a knowledge broker. And there's this very nice video that illustrates what that means. So I hope we can all have a look.
Okay.
A knowledge broker is premised on the idea that there are people who are seeking answers to questions on the one hand, and that there are people who have answers to questions on the other. That somehow, for some reason, there's a breakdown in knowledge systems that is preventing those people from connecting up. Knowledge brokers are really people that help bridge those gaps and fill those voids.
Translating technical information or very hard numbers, very quantitative things, for example, into something that's much more accessible, something that's much more understandable. If you haven't worked in a research space, but you're a policymaker trying to make a decision, how do you make sense of all of this research evidence, all of these results?
I think a knowledge broker is somebody who's able to bring these different kinds of perspectives together. There are hierarchies of knowledge, we are aware of these. To me, a knowledge broker is somebody who helps make that market equal for everybody, but also facilitates conversations to bring these different perspectives together, which are equally valid.
Linking research to development actors in a language that can be understood by any end user. And in that matter, they are knowledge brokers.
So the term knowledge broker is becoming quite popular. I guess if you think about a marketplace, we often think about brokers who bring people together, bring ideas together. Knowledge is a commodity in many ways. It's an important asset. People produce it, people need it. Think tanks increasingly are playing this knowledge broker role, and in doing so they're helping to demonstrate that citizens, for example, have a huge amount of knowledge which perhaps is not always counted.
That accounts for think tanks, but also for knowledge platforms like ShareNet International. So I hope you're now inspired to also be a knowledge broker. So we received quite some questions already about, Amie, Kim, what are you talking about? What are knowledge products? So I want in the next slide to give you some examples of different types of knowledge products. Mm-hmm. So it can be a lot of different things. This list is not complete, so please don't think if you were thinking about something else that is not a good knowledge product, but this is just to showcase some examples. So it can be a big variety of things. It can be a video, it can be an online application, it can be a toolkit, it can be a training manual, it can be a framework. Just depending on what is needed in your context on this specific topic, reaching your specific target group. So you really have to think about what knowledge product would then work best. And of course, if you're generating new knowledge, maybe it's a different type of product than when you are already translating knowledge that people already know, but are still not using. It might need another angle. So for you to decide what knowledge product works best, think out of the box, be creative. And I hope this also answers the question that a knowledge product is really the end format in which you put your knowledge, but that's different from the topic. So a video can be about women with HIV in Nepal, but also about young people accessing youth-friendly health services in Ethiopia, or it can be a lot of different things. So up to you to create a proposal, bringing all of that together, your topic with your problem statement, the knowledge product that fits well with that, and the approach to also disseminate this knowledge product, because we hope you go one step further and not only decide on the knowledge product, but also how are you gonna assure the uptake. So let's go to the next slide. So there are a couple do's that Amie and I thought would be handy to list. So please, if you're in the application form, respond to the exact question, and also feel free to revise your answer. So read back what you have written down, and if you feel, I could still make some tweaks, please feel free. The format is created that you can access it again and update it when you feel that's necessary. So please also make use of that function. So make sure that your knowledge products will be evidence-based, or at least evidence-informed. So that also connects well to that methodology that you are proposing to use in your proposal. So include feedback loops with your target audience and the right holders. So we've spoken about that already previously as part of doing ethically sound research. Please also mention this in your proposal if you're planning to do that, because it showcases to us that you have thought about this. Showcase the technical requirements and the expertise, like what Govinda was saying. If you have 10 years of experience or lots of projects done in this field, then please mention it, because it shows that you are probably capable to execute this project as you are planning to do. Please be realistic as well. We often see very high ambitions, but it's limited funding within a limited allotted time. So please be realistic about what is possible within the amount of funding and within the time that we give you to implement your project. And please provide an actual budget estimate. So be specific about what you need. It's not always needed to go for the maximum amount of the grant type. You can also ask for a bit less, and that shows us that you are consciously thinking about what you need, and that you also take responsibility that by asking for a bit less to execute your project, ShareNet International can grant more grants also to other applicants. What we also said previously is please consider the needs and gaps in knowledge in your context and focus on that, because there's already so much out there, so much created. We are not looking for duplications. We are really looking for that impact, for that change that has not yet been there, but that you are waiting for. So please go for the real needs and gaps in your context, and be clear about your strategy, how you're planning to reach your stakeholders with these knowledge products, and that should be part of your dissemination strategy. So we've also listed some don'ts, so we can go to the next slide. So please don't leave the submission to the last minute. Start on time. As mentioned before, you can stop and continue working on it in the digital platform. So start working as soon as you know that you want to submit a proposal, and be sure to submit it before the deadline. We have encountered in the past that people wait long, don't yet register for a membership, or wait to look for the form online, and then they encounter troubles, and then we think, oh, please, if you start in time, you also have time to fix things if it doesn't work out, and ask for our support. So we have also Rian Farnworth, our colleague that is our expert on the digital platform, but they also need some time to still assist you. So please don't wait till the deadline for starting your application or finishing your application. What we already mentioned before is that we would like you to use a human rights-based approach. So please don't use discriminatory language. Don't ask for more than you need. That's really about the funding. Don't assume that the selection committee already knows. Please mention these things about ethical considerations and things like that, to make sure that the ethical committee has a good view on what you're planning to do and a good understanding. Please answer all the questions. We sometimes see incomplete forms with left out information or information sections that are not filled. These questions are there for a reason, so please answer all the questions on the form. And please don't include annexes to your proposal. We've had in the past that people include a lot of additional information, but I hope you understand that we all have to read all these proposals, and that we've set also a word limit to make sure that we can, that we have the capacity to assess and rate all the proposals in time before the deadline. So thank you so much for keeping these in mind. That's very much appreciated also from our side. Then we can go to the next slide. So we said before that we don't have any specific priority area set. So you are open to really focus on the needs in your context, in your community. But we would like to say something about exploring new themes. So we've already spoken today about climate change. I saw something about LGBTIQ+. We are also welcoming proposals on sex work, on sexual pleasure, on decolonizing CSE practices, community-led interventions, abortion, trans, self-managed abortion, disability, infertility, menstrual health. So if you are still looking for inspiration on what topic to choose for your proposal, I hope this list can help you. But again, feel free if you have another topic in mind to submit the proposal on the topic you think you can do, create the most impact. Next slide. So this is a bit about research basics, and I will go very quick because we're going over time, and I think most of you know. But quantitative research is really describing and measuring problems and issues. You want to determine causal relationships. So it's really about statistical significance on differences, relationships, and the representation of your study population. So usually you use direct observation and structured interview, and your analysis is more about numbers, comparisons, and a bit of narratives to explain the numbers that you have found. While qualitative is more about identifying relationships between factors and issues to describe, to identify, to explore, or to place previously quantitative research more in the context in which they're found. So for the sampling, you focus then more on the inclusion of relevant groups that the data represents, that you get a variety of ideas. It's not about a big sample, but more about including these different views that was also mentioned in the video on knowledge brokering. It's really about the social context, the perceptions, and other factors that also influence this issue. So you could think more about methods than with semi-structured interviews, participatory observations, focus group discussions, and the analysis are more words like summaries, narrative, and less focus on the numbers. So mixed method would then be a combination of both. I'm sorry, I'm having some background noise. I think we can leave the rest and go to the next slide. What I still can add is that it's important to use references in your proposal. So if you have quality data sources that showcase that there is this problem in your context, it's good to include it also in your proposal. But what I really want to focus on for these last couple minutes is on the dissemination strategies. So we really want you to showcase how you're gonna develop these knowledge products, your experience with developing the knowledge products, and also then how you are gonna share the developed knowledge products. So you can do different things. It can be a social media campaign. It can be a webinar at the end of your project, or a workshop where you explain how to use a toolkit if you, for instance, produce that, or a guideline. It can be a roundtable for policymakers if you, for instance, created a policy brief. So also your dissemination strategy really depends on what type of project and knowledge product you have done and what type of target audience you're dealing with. So it can also be more creative, like a film festival or a promotional video or a mobile application, but it can also be really an official conference or a scientific article published in a journal. So we hope that in your proposal you also think about these dissemination strategies and pick the strategy that fits best with your work. So then, last but not least, we also want you to focus on sustainability. Oh, this is an example of a very nice one from R&W Media on gamifying SRHR content. So we also hope that when you create a knowledge product that you make it attractive, that you immediately want to look for further, like what's on there, what can I take from this? So be creative. That's what we like to say. The next slide.
Let me see, Chloe.
So yeah, before we go to the conclusion, what I still want to add is about sustainability. So before we end this session, you've created this knowledge product, then you've thought about the dissemination strategy, and then your project is over. But if you already think about how you're gonna sustain what you have achieved, how you make sure that over the years this knowledge product is continued to be used, for instance, or how this mobile application will be updated, then that strengthens your proposal. So if you can include something on sustainability in your proposal and you think that's true, then that weighs in on how your proposal is being perceived by the selection committee. Another thing I can still say is please make a schedule per month. So specify the timeline, what happens per month and who is gonna do that, especially also when you work with partners. Mm-hmm. Create a clear overview of the roles and responsibilities of you and the partners and make them complementary. So sometimes we see that almost all the funding goes to the lead organization and the partner organizations get very limited funding. But the idea of this collaboration grant is also that you have equal or almost equal partnerships. And again, please be specific and realistic with your budget and use exact figures of what you actually need. Well, those were my last words. And then I now give the word to Amie to close off this Write Shop.
Thank you, Kimberly, for elaborating on this last part of the presentation about the knowledge product, some do's and some don'ts to help our potential applicant to better write their proposal. And yes, I would say surprise us. We hope that this Write Shop was very useful for you, and we are looking forward to receiving your application soon. And then if you have questions about the call for proposals, please reach out to my colleagues Maria Codina for the Burundi, Burkina Faso, and Colombia hubs. And you can see the email on the slide. And you can reach out to Kimberley for Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and Jordan's hub. And the members from ShareNet Netherlands can reach out to our colleague Mike. And for the international members, you can reach out to me, myself, on these different emails. And as already said by Kimberley, for technical questions, you can reach out to our digital expert at this email address, info@sharenetinternational.org. So that's the address I was given at the start of the presentation. For example, if you are encountering problems for your membership or to log into the digital platform, you can reach out, send an email to this address, and we'll try to fix it as soon as possible. So we are at the end of our Write Shop session. And so I would say again, thank you all for your active participation. I see that there was a lot of message in the chat, more than 80. Thanks a lot for your active participation and for participating to this exercise. We hope that this helped you really write great proposal for this grant cycle.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you please specify who should I contact for ShareNet Bangladesh if I have any concern regarding ShareNet Bangladesh country hub?
You see on
that's me,
yeah, that's you see on the slide. That's
okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So you have the opportunity. She is here today. So for Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and Jordan, you can contact her for any question you might have about the call. And I specified for the 3 others, hubs Burkina, Burundi, and Colombia. It's in Maria. You see the email here. And for the ShareNet Netherlands member, you can reach out to Micah. And for international member, reach out to me at this email address.
Yeah. So that accounts for all other countries that are not mentioned on the slide. And I also saw someone asking for Malawi. So that would then also be Amie that you write to. I saw 2 more questions, Amie, which we
let's go.
quickly answer. So I think 2 years ago or 1 year ago, we also had the option to provide feedback on draft proposals. Are we doing that this year again?
Yes, we are doing this year. So all the applicants will get feedback on their proposals. And this is required to all the peer review to provide feedback for each proposal they will review. So you will get feedback and hopefully you are selected. If not, don't worry, you can get your chance next year and in the meantime, improve.
Okay, very clear. And can you explain one more time where everyone can find the recording of today's Right Shop?
You can find this recording of today's writing on the digital platform. So this will be available. To mention exactly where, because I'm not the digital expert, it's about Ryan, but we will figure out the mean to really disseminate the message once it's online.
Yeah.
Make sure.
And
Yes.
can we also share a message to everyone who registered for the Right Shop with?
Yeah, that's the idea I had.
Okay, with the link to where to
yes.
find it on the digital platform.
Exactly. Everyone who has registered for this Right Shop will receive the recorded video. Yeah.
Okay. Then I think we answered all the questions. I see one that's asking, if I'm from Nepal, can I also apply? Yes, you can.
Yes.
And then if you have any questions, your contact person would be Amie.
Yes.
So I think that's it.
That's it. Great. So thanks a lot. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Amie.
Thank you, Nora, who's behind as well. And thank you all for joining and for your active participation. And have a nice end of the day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And I can end the meeting.